Hi, friends. Hello, hello. Happy Monday. Welcome in. Hi, I'm Jig. How are you? Gingerly, hello. Miss Bobby Dazzles in the house. Fancy Mimi. Hello, 10977. Hi, Wild. A Vintage Finding. Hello. Hi, Hen House. You guys, I have a give. Oh, I thought I forgot it. I have a giveaway for you guys to start the show. A Vintage Finding Hen House. Lisa, how are you? Hi, Mindful Image. Welcome in. Hi, Car. K.L. Benning, hello. What's going on? Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer. El Paso Grandma. Becky. Hello, Ash. Welcome in. I'm great. Good evening. Hey, K9. Hey, Memex. How are you? The Eclectic. Hello. Vintage Gas Canade, how are you, Summer? Birds, welcome in. And then Halloweensy, how are you? You guys enter my giveaway. It's absolutely free. And it is for what I believe is an early plastic. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Hello, hello. Hello, Lavender Hair. Let me go grab our my co-host, Miss Bobby Dazzle. Let's see here. Let's grab her and invite her in. Let's see here. Lavender Hair. Hey.
How did I get on top?
Oh, I don't know. Wow. Hi, Lucky Lady. Hi, Shannon. Hi, Bobby. It's so
Hello,
good to
everybody.
see you. This is the giveaway, you guys. I believe that this is an early plastics little brooch. There is the back. I'm hoping that you guys can see it. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Miss Bobby, I got this from Corin. I think I got this from you.
Did
I
you?
got this from yes.
You probably did.
I probably did. I'm almost 100% certain. I could be
Hi,
wrong,
friends. Hi, Sue.
but I think I got this
You're
from
the
you.
plastics queen, girl.
I love me some plastics. I do, I do. And this one, I don't think it's marked anything. But looky. So you guys that are new, hello, welcome to the Vintage Jewelry Chat with me and Miss Bobby Dazzle. Every Monday night, I almost said at 8. Every Monday night at 7 p.m. And the next one is going to be Miss Bobby Dazzle. So you guys right now can click on her name when you see her. Yes, 7 Eastern. Yes, Jennifer's like, make sure you stick that Eastern in there. So click on Miss Bobby Dazzle's name because she's going to be hosting the next Monday's Vintage Jewelry Chat at 7 Eastern.
And my host is going to be Amy from Bling a Ding Ding. And she's been a seller on here a long time. Like, I think 3 years, if not more. But so she's going to share some of her we're going to pick her brain a little bit about selling on Whatnot. And she has some sources she wants to share for buying shipping supplies in bulk, which
Nice.
I definitely need to probably work on that a little better.
Yeah,
I know I
we
buy
all
some
could.
things in bulk, but not everything. So
Yeah,
it should be
same here.
just a fun chat, casual chat with
Yeah,
her. Yeah.
awesome.
Hello,
I love
everybody.
that. Hi, Mr. Vintage Vibe. How are you? Sue's Trends Finds, welcome
Good.
in.
Yeah.
Boxes. Yeah. Um, yeah, I should probably do more you know, bigger bulk than what I am. But of course some of us have to worry about space and things like that. You're a box hoarder. I get that. I totally get that. Well, enter the giveaway, you guys. It's for this pretty little brooch. And then, Bobby, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us what's been going on in your world, friend.
Well, my name's Bobby and I am Bobby Dazzle, and it has been busy here and whatnot. We've been doing a lot of home decor and jewelry trains the past week. So that's one of the things that Tuesday and I have in common is we sell both a lot of jewelry and a lot of vintage home decor. So um, it was a busy weekend.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
survived it. But I'm looking forward to this week. We have lots of exciting trains like our May Day train. Um,
Yes.
on May 1st. We're going to celebrate the tradition of May Day baskets and gifting your neighbors and things like that. What else? We have vintage linens this week, Tuesday.
Yes, this
Um,
coming weekend.
so much. Oh,
Oh,
look how pretty that is. Is that for May Day?
hen house. Hen house,
Yes.
congratulations. You won the brooch. Yay.
That's a
Awesome.
cutie.
Yes.
Oh,
Look
get
at this.
out. Is that
Look at
Fenton?
this. Yes. And
Ah,
I love the color.
you're
But
going to sell
anyways,
that?
I know it's so hard.
Oh,
Yes, it's
oh,
gonna be for sale.
wow.
Oh,
Are you
I know
teasing
it's
us?
crazy. I I know. I am teasing you. Yes. Oh, that. Yes, I can't help it. I can't help it. Um, were you done? I'm so sorry. I think the giveaway
Oh,
interrupted
yeah, I'm
you,
done.
friend. Okay,
I'm
okay.
done.
Well, I'm Tuesday with Tuesday's Fun Finds, and I am normally on every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern in the jewelry category. And then I'm also vintage decor outside of Tuesday nights normally. This Tuesday, I'm not having a show, so I will not be on tomorrow night, but I will be on the Mayday Ray Train, which is super fun. That one is exciting. Um,
It's very creative.
Yes, there we
I
go.
like
That's
about
the
it.
word I needed to use is creative. And then the vintage linens is always an absolute hoot. And then, of course, we
Yes.
just got done with the vintage vanity raid train, which was 2 days full of greatness. I think everybody killed it. So
Yeah.
that was super exciting. And the next one's already scheduled for June 14th and 15th, I think.
Yeah.
Um, so exciting. So I gotta get my sourcing on. But
Gotta get
yeah,
out there and source. Sucks,
yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah, it's I that's my favorite part, but, when you're busy with show after show after show, it's hard to squeeze that in sometimes.
I know
Oh,
you got to squeeze it in, It's like I
there's
have to schedule it on my schedule. Like I have to get out at least one day a week and do something.
yes, that other piece right up there, that's gonna be on part of Mayday Raid Train too. You see that green jadeite piece up there?
Oh, yes.
That's a
Ooh,
Westmoreland.
beautiful.
But, so yeah, so that's who we are, you guys, and we decided Bobby Dazzle actually come up with the idea of having a vintage jewelry chat every Monday night, and we have guests that come on and we get to share different things. Like last week we did Juliana, how to identify Juliana jewelry. We did that with
That
Meta Jennifer. So that was
Mhm.
super fun. And then tonight we are going to be having Vintage Gas Canade come on. Summer, she's going to talk to us about celluloid and some early plastics, which is one
Super
of my
excited.
favorites too. Yes. Oh, so exciting. And then this way we all get to learn, so that we can source better, buy better. It's for everyone, buyers and sellers. Hello, Snuggie. But then that way we can all, shop better and we can all learn
Yeah.
because I think, that's what gives us the power is when we learn. I don't want to say power. Maybe power is not the word to use, but you know what I mean. Are you picking
I
up what
think
I'm
that
putting down?
works. Yeah.
Miss Bobby Dazzle, you're beautiful today, by the way.
Oh,
And you guys, I'm so sorry. I keep looking at her on the computer because I can't see her on my phone. So I apologize if I'm looking away, but you look fabulous,
does
darling.
I'm trying to think that it's weird how that it doesn't do that to me.
Hmm,
I can see you when I do a co-host.
that's weird.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah,
I know.
hmm,
Do you have an iPhone?
I do. Yeah,
Do you
you do
start it on
too.
your phone?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Hmm.
Huh. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Who knows? It's always a
So
glitch.
bizarro. So bizarro.
Yeah.
Um, but does and then anytime that anyone ever has anything that they would like to be a guest about, they're always welcome to reach out to Bobby and I, and we would love to have you
Yeah.
on.
I
And then
contacted some of Oh, go ahead.
no, 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 please
Oh,
go
I was gonna
ahead.
say I contacted some of the raid train leaders or conductors in the jewelry category that I know and work with, and put feelers out, and so we hope to get that's how we got Amy on, and I hope to get um
Okay.
some more of our whatnot friends on each week to share. And I mean, it can be just discussing like what the jewelry trends are. What are
Mhm.
what are you selling the most of? um
Yeah.
where do you source your stuff? Just stuff like that. It doesn't have to be like you're an expert on gemstones or something like that.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I'm an
Yeah.
expert on nothing.
Yeah. No, I'm not either. I'm an expert on learning.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah. Yes.
Enthusiastic about learning all the time. Yeah. So
I love it. I love it. Hi Lala girl, how are you? Hi River Moons Vintage, welcome in. How is everybody doing tonight? Have you guys been buying today? And if so, what was your most favorite thing you picked up today off
oh,
of
that's
the
a great
app?
question. I didn't buy anything
Ooh,
today. I spent so much
no?
this weekend. I spent so
Yeah.
much this weekend. Um, I have a question for you. How do
Oh,
you know
yes.
Summer? Did you just find her on Whatnot? Did you buy from
So
her?
yes, yeah. One day I was just cruising around, So I guess you could say my regulars, like you or some share
Yeah.
or whomever.
Yeah.
No, I was like nobody's on. What's going on? And I haven't. I wanted to get through my day, my work day, because normally
Oh, right.
that's when I'm on. What not the most is when I'm at work. When I'm at my 9 to 5. I have my
What's wrong
earplug.
with
I have
that
my earbud.
statement?
I have my earbuds in and I can listen to whatever. And I find myself though every once in a while where I'm just like this. I'm looking at my phone, my computer's up here, and I'm not even looking at my computer. It's terrible. But hey, my work gets done though. My work does get done. But I had actually come across hers having a sale. And of course, I loved what she was selling. And I purchased something from her. Hold on.
Hi, Meta Jennifer. I'm glad you like everything. And Ruthie, I want to see a picture of your Weiss lavender brooch. Oh my gosh.
If I'm
Where'd
not
you get it?
mistaken, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Vintage Gas Canade, I believe I bought this bracelet from you, this Bakelite piece.
Ooh.
I'm almost, yes, all right, yes. Because my wrists are big. Those of you that have been following me know that I have bigger wrists. And so I seen that she had this beautiful clamper Bakelite bracelet. And I was like, oh, that's gonna work for me. I'll be able, because it has a
Yeah.
hinge.
Yeah.
Yes. So I have this and added it to my collection and I love it. So yeah, and then I loved everything that she had. She had a variety of things, but I could tell that she had a passion also for plastics and bakelite and celluloid and all those things. Yeah. So just
And
we
there
met
she
here
is.
on that.
There she is. Make sure you guys give her a follow, bookmark her shows. Um, it sounds like she has incredible jewelry. And do you want to just get started with her?
Yeah, that's fine.
I
That's
think
fine.
that was like the perfect segue into bringing her on
You just bought a Weiss lavender brooch?
today.
Oh, nice.
That's a color you don't see that much.
No, everything is okay. Everything is in triplet tonight. Oh.
Do I have to? I can leave. I leave, okay? And then you can bring her
She
on.
said that I left I was her first review. Was this bracelet?
Oh,
Oh my
that's
gosh, okay.
great.
All
Okay,
right,
I'm gonna
Bobby.
leave. I'll
Okay,
be back
sounds
later.
good.
Bye.
Okay. All right, let's go grab Summer. Let's grab Vintage Gas Canade. Here we go. Let me click on her name. Oh, oops. Let's see. No, we don't want to remove her. Oh my gosh, that would be terrible. Invite to co-host. Here we go. Oh, hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I've never done this before.
Well,
Please ignore the horrible mess in the background.
oh,
This is my work area, so my work area for jewelry and whatnot, I should say.
it's so everyone, here is Summer, Vintage Gas Canade. Please, right now, click on her little icon there and help me and Bobby say thank you to her by giving her a follow. Please give her a follow and a bookmark. And I did not know that I was your first review.
Yeah, yeah, you were. And you were among my first sales. Like that day you came into my show, that was my first show on whatnot. And
I know.
so
Did I
I
know
don't
that?
know
Maybe I.
that you were the very first thing I sold, but you were definitely the first person to leave me a review because I thought that was the case and I went back and I looked.
Oh, I love it. That is so great. I am like, that makes my heart happy. You just made my day. That's great. Ah, I
Well, I
love it.
assure
I
you it
love
made
it.
mine too.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I love my bracelet. I love my bracelet. Um, but yeah, so tell us about you.
So I have been a collector. Well, my mom has always collected antiques, so I kind of grew up around appreciating older things and collecting older things and finding value in the history of items and reusing them all of my life. I've been a collector specifically of Bakelite. Was kind of my entry into early plastics, and that actually started more before jewelry with kitchen utensils,
Okay.
more
Yes.
so. Um, and then I during the pandemic, I started working remotely. I had been commuting about 10 hours a week. Prior to that time, I live in a very rural area. And so it's basically an hour to anywhere that I'm able to work with the type of work I do for my full time job.
Mhm.
And so the pandemic, as it did for many other types of work, broke, kind of opened Pandora's box and demonstrated what we already knew in my area of work for my full time job, which was that what we did could be done remotely by and large. And of course, after we went and kept our organizations afloat doing it
Yeah.
for 6 months to, in our case, 2 years,
Yeah.
um, there was no way for those institutions to keep pretending that
Yeah.
we couldn't and
Mhm.
kind of put the lid back on Pandora's jar. And so once I kept doing what I was always doing, but recouped those 10 hours a day and back into my week. So for the last 5 years, I've had physical booths in a couple of antique malls, and then started selling on Whatnot and doing jewelry more so because I didn't find jewelry very amenable to in-person selling, at least not here in the Midwest.
Right.
Um, and started doing that about five. So I've done that for about five, or done the in-person for 5 years, sold here on Whatnot, I guess for maybe 7 or 8 months now.
Nice.
Started last fall.
Yeah,
And I've
nice.
done jewelry. My booths, in my in-person booths at a couple of antique malls, one is in Rosebud, Missouri, and one is in Cuba, Missouri, are mid-century decor, design, everything from kitsch, to the really truly modernist pieces. And then I have a kitchenwares and serving wares booth, drinkware.
Nice.
And then in the mall in Cuba, Missouri, I have a art glass case and a jewelry case, which are my newer ones.
Nice.
And then I've done
Wonderful.
specifically jewelry here on Whatnot so far. I've done
Gotcha.
a few vintage vanity things, some small glass, but mostly
Beautiful.
jewelry.
So you've been on Whatnot for around, you said 6 months? Or did
Yeah,
you
I
say
think it
8?
may be a little bit longer than that. I
Okay.
started
So 6
started
to
back
8.
last fall. So,
Awesome. I
been a buyer
love
on
it.
Whatnot for a little over a year, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know how
Well,
that
that's
works.
fantastic. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Well, wonderful. We're so happy to have you. And then you have a passion for the the celluloid and the early plastics, which
I
I'm
do.
still learning. I'm still learning about I've gotten a few books, reference books here and there,
Mhm.
but we're very excited to gain a little bit more knowledge from you tonight. What do you have to share with us?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera around. Give me
Okay,
just a second
sure.
so that you
Oh,
can stop looking at me and start looking at some good stuff.
woo!
Yeah, yep. Um, I have a few fun things I think we could do tonight, but please let me be guided by what's in chat. Interrupt at any time. Um,
Yes.
and I'm going to just set some stuff out to look at while I talk a little bit about the background of celluloid. And I want to caveat everything by first saying that I am not an expert in absolutely any of this. I'm not a historian. I'm not a chemist. I'm not a jeweler. Um, not any of these things. Like many of you, I am a collector. And so nothing I say should be taken as like the rule of law.
Right.
However, based on my experience, there are some things that I have kind of started to learn that I think can be handy, and maybe there are things that we can discuss tonight that where I can learn from you guys as well. And so I
Yay.
think that that's part of what really differentiates the Whatnot platform from other platforms is that sense of community and the fact that we all get to not only like trade in things and buy and sell things, but that we get to share knowledge and different people support different parts of this kind of reselling and repurposing market. And in the education portion of that, I think is really plays an important role as well. And
Yes.
so, thank you again to both you and to Bobby Dazzle for doing these types of shows and opportunities. And thank you to all of you who are coming here to talk about this. And if I say something that you know to be incorrect, or that you know a little bit more about, please feel free to enter the conversation, to insert yourself in chat, because this is not like a lecture by any
Yeah,
means.
absolutely. Yes. Please, everyone, if you have any comments or questions as we go throughout our chat or our discussion with a Vintage Gas Canade, please speak up. I mean, this
Yep,
is an open discussion. It's very laid back, and yeah, we're
absolutely.
ready.
And the other thing I'll say is that among all the early plastics, what I probably know best is actually Bakelite. And so celluloid is probably a number two. So I'm sure there are plenty of people out in the world in particular, and possibly even in the room, who know more about celluloid than I do. I'm going to try to do something. I don't know if it's going to work. As I talk, just give you a quick history on celluloid. I'm going to pull up some of those celluloid pieces and just kind of handle them. Because, at least for me, and I don't know about the rest of you guys, but for me personally, I think the reason, in fact, I don't think, I'm quite certain, the reason that I'm attracted to a lot of jewelry, and specifically 100% the plastic jewelry, is the sensory experience.
Yeah, that
And
is
so
gorgeous, by the
even
way.
even just even just the sound of it, the feel of it, and actually with celluloid identification, if you take away nothing else tonight, my main tip personally is it's the weight that is going to tip you
Okay.
off on celluloid. This necklace, and of course, my husband stole my postage scale. I mean, this thing, I'm going to guess, weighs maybe an ounce. Um, despite, I'm going to go get that before the show is over, and I'm going to test it against this lucite and possibly Bakelite. This is probably a piece that's possibly Bakelite, definitely lucite, and celluloid. So you've kind of got the trifecta here.
Are you
This
guys
piece,
seeing these two pieces right
this
now?
piece weighs easily double this piece, despite how much more plastic, like pound, like it looks like this is a lot more plastic, that cluster. Although this is a honker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So
but
what
anyway,
you're showing right there, the blue necklace is celluloid. Was the black
mhm.
necklace with the cameo? What is that?
The black necklace with the cameo, this one's complicated.
Okay.
This is definitely lucite. Yeah, her relationship status is it's complicated. No, definitely lucite, 100%. This clear, it's reverse carved.
Oh,
You can see the adhesive dot where it's secured.
it is
So it's
gorgeous.
reverse carved. It's carved on the front where we get these scallops, isn't the right name, but these pleats. And
Yeah.
it's reverse carved with the fine lines. And then I believe this is Bakelite, but as those of you who know Bakelite, and as I'm sure you talked about at your show where you discussed Bakelite Tuesday,
Hmm.
black is very problematic to test.
It is
This has
terrible.
all, this has all, not all black, but a lot of black Bakelite.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like not all men. No. So not all black Bakelite is the hard to test, but this is one of the pieces it is. I feel quite confident. This is from my personal collection, and so I'm happy with it, owning it and believing it to be Bakelite. And I like this
Yeah.
piece because, like I said, it's the trifecta, and we've got a celluloid chain here. But
Oh,
if we were all here together and I could pass this around, you would be able to feel the difference in just the weight and the
gotcha.
texture. And it's like the difference between picking up, let's say, like, like one of those smooth beach rocks from a northern Michigan beach or a Minnesota beach. That's what these feel like to me, Bakelite and Lucite, in the
Hmm.
density.
Gotcha.
And this is like picking up a leaf or a
Yeah.
piece of driftwood, I guess, to keep the
Yeah.
metaphor.
There you go. I like that.
And so this
Oh,
has heft, this has none. Wind could blow a chain like this. Like if it was really truly windy enough and it was on a surface, wind could blow a celluloid chain. So the history of celluloid, and obviously I probably can't do two things at once, but I'll try. Um, Basically, celluloids are a class of materials that are produced by mixing nitrocellulose and camphor, and then we often have added dyes and other
mm,
agents. And let me know in chat if anyone, I know what I think, who I think the designer on this is, but let me know if anyone else has thoughts. These are unsigned.
ooh,
And not everything
listen,
on it is celluloid, I don't believe. Sorry, I may not be holding them well. My
that's
camera angle is a
okay.
little funky.
So do you know of
I'll let
specific
you see it back.
designers that specifically use celluloid?
No, and I'm not even
No. Okay.
100% sure that these are, but I
Okay.
believe they are, and I'll tell you why in a second.
Okay.
But we'll let chat think about it and see if anyone has any thoughts. And I don't know for a fact, but based partly on the back.
Oh.
So there, you mix nitrocellulose and camphor, and often there are other dyes and agents added. Vintage uses are for jewelry, hair items, vanity items, buttons, stringed instruments, which is one that a lot of
Oh.
people don't realize, buckles, utensils, pens. They were used as veneer on decorative items like clocks, a lot of clocks,
Mm.
and other like shelf type items or even small furniture, game pieces. And this one is my personal obscure favorite. The coding for almost all slide rules produced. A slide rule was the A slide
Really?
rule, yes. Slide rules were the I don't know, you can Google them, but they were the used before calculators. They're like a giant ruler, and you could a combination of rulers that you could slide against each other to help with mathematical calculations. So the
So
rusted
neat.
willow, I just saw a glimpse, has an idea or a thought about, and maybe this individual isn't the maker, but on who these might be inspired by. And
Oh,
again, if these might also, these pieces in particular are the ones that feel kind of like celluloid to me. These could also be lucite. I don't think they've got glow. Not that all lucite does.
yeah.
Yeah, Miriam Haskell. That's exactly who I'm thinking. In part
Yay!
because of the
Rusted willow.
filigree on the back. Again, I don't know. They're unsigned. As you can see, they've got condition issues. They've got verdigris. One of the
They're so
reasons I'm thinking that these might be celluloid is because the particular sheen, this pearly sheen that's coating these
yeah,
pieces, not only is the design of these pieces kind of evocative of a lot of celluloid I've seen, but this coating on them is also, and this would be pretty early celluloid if it is celluloid. And again, not
yeah.
claiming to be a complete expert, but I'm thinking that these probably have that inorganic, or not inorganic, that organic celluloid plastic interior and that shiny coating.
Beautiful. Good
So
job,
I'll set
Wilma.
these aside. I've got another one. Again, I keep digressing. Again, unsigned. This to me looks later. It may be Miriam Haskell. It may just be in that inspired by.
Beautiful.
This, I believe, this could be celluloid, but this one I'm more confident is lucite based on the feel, which I know you can't feel through the
Ah,
screen.
yeah. So
And
neat.
these as well. These feel different to me than these in ways that
Gotcha.
it's hard for me to articulate.
Again, it's so hard for me. You guys, if you guys are looking at me and I'm looking this way, it's only because I cannot see what you guys can see on my phone. I can only see it on my computer. So just those of you that are just joining, that's why I keep looking to my left.
So I mentioned hair pieces. I don't have, in fact, this may be the only celluloid hair piece I have that's not something I usually hunt for.
Hmm.
This is a celluloid hair piece. Another really definitive feature of celluloid is that it will very, very frequently, I'd say more often than not, be bowed or not perfectly straight. Trying to see the easiest way to demonstrate that on this piece. This is not in bad condition, but this actually has kind of a twist to it. Maybe if I get my hand behind it, there, you can see that, right? The way
Yeah.
it twists up along here. And that's because celluloid is incredibly sensitive to heat in particular
Hmm.
and major changes in temperature.
Gorgeous.
And here is a great example of two celluloid brooches, similar make.
Mm.
One that must have sat tight in a drawer and is quite straight. They have the very same closure. We've got the
Try
C
maybe
hook closure.
going farther out with your hands. I think the phone wants to, yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, yeah. I think we're
So we've got,
learning that as we're doing these
that's the
shows that you
trick.
guys, yeah, that you guys, unfortunately, with you showing stuff, it's if you pulled it out farther out, it seems to
Hmm.
be working better than
Yeah.
bringing it up. But
So we've
those are
got the
so
same
whimsical and so
clips,
cute.
but look at the bow on this one. Again,
Oh
still highly
wow.
wearable. That pin has some bend in it, but aside from even ignoring the pin, you can see how bowed
Yeah.
And again, this is perfectly normal. I don't feel that it really, to me, this demonstrates this brooch is celluloid. I don't feel that it devalues the brooch. We're not,
No.
it's not to the point we're seeing cracks along the surface. But that's very typical of celluloid pieces. And I've just got to believe that this one sat somewhere that it wasn't compromised.
So cute. Don't
So
you guys wish that you could be sitting there with her right now touching all of it?
I
That's
do like for this almost above, even probably above the Bakelite. Like there's probably no other type of jewelry I have that it would be more useful for me to like share for everyone to be able to handle and touch to demonstrate things than with this subject in particular,
yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
um Celluloid was is still used in a minor way. It can still be produced. The most common uses, I wouldn't say currently is quite the right way to put it, but possibly currently in some cases or until much more recently was for ping pong balls. Ping pong balls, and in fact, the last two large scale celluloid production facilities were in China, which I may think makes sense because table tennis was so popular
Yeah.
in China in particular and in other Asian countries.
Huh.
And so, like, that's another way I think a trick to remember it, that think of the lightness of a ping pong ball. And, that's the scale we're getting to, when we're thinking of the lightness of the celluloid jewelry.
Nice. That's a good, yeah.
It is still used, has been used recently, and I believe continues to be used on musical instruments such as accordion and guitar in particular.
Hmm.
I'm not 100% sure of the reasoning on this. I would love to know more from someone who's an expert in those instruments, but I believe
Right.
I know that it has to do, I've read that it has to do with the acoustic properties of the plastic is superior. My guess would be for the accordion also that it probably has to do with the molding, the fact it can be molded around the edges of the accordion case, and probably also acoustics. And I would think also for both instruments, probably to do with tradition as well, and traditional appearance of instruments. But I know that a lot of it is to do, for the guitar, with the fact that cellulose, in some manner that I don't understand, supposedly leaves open the pores of wood in a way that other coatings does not.
Ah,
So I thought that was really interesting.
yeah.
And
Very.
it's also the preferred material for guitar picks. And I believe that continues to be true. And so this celluloid was invented in, there was an 1862 patent by Alexander Parkes for Parkesine, Parkesine. The first instance, he was kind of the first person to produce celluloid as a bulk material. And so he had an 1862 patent. He was from England, and he initially used celluloid as a clothing waterproofer. And so you think of celluloid and film and the term film, and this is something I didn't realize until got into jewelry. But all of those words are related and they all are associated for a reason. And so the clothing waterproofer and the film, um, in the film industry, these are all the same, based from and are using the same product, the same original product, or the same original kind of scientific breakthroughs. Um, he then went on. I think he went to a World's Fair to show off his waterproofer, to experiment with adding different things, including camphor, although he didn't make a lot of headway there, to his Parkesine. But essentially, like, that's kind of considered the birth, not just of celluloid, but of the entire plastics industry.
So cool.
And so in the 1860s, an American named John Leslie Hyatt began experimenting with Parkesine. Um, And his goal was to make a replacement for ivory billiard balls. And one of my kind of main takeaways from today, I would like to be that not just celluloid, but celluloid in particular, and all plastics were largely motivated by the desire to find a replacement for uh, natural, and then sometimes organic, and in some cases inorganic, such as stone. But I really want to talk about organic materials such as ivory, bone, horn. And the reasoning for this was by and large driven by money, and the fact
Mm,
due to overhunting. And it
yeah.
wasn't necessarily ethical, although in some cases people were concerned about the ethics of it as well.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend like there weren't people who were, but the real driving factor was how to make jewelry and all the other things, such as billiard balls, that
Yeah.
ivory was used for in a more cost efficient manner while keeping the same or a similar appearance and durability. And so Hyatt
Let me wipe my
made
corner of my mouth. I'm drooling over these pieces that you're showing.
these
we did
earrings
have a
are,
que- we
I
did have a
wish,
question.
yes,
Meta Jennifer, her question was, does celluloid usually have more of a matte look?
not necessarily. I find that it often does. And actually, these are a good example. You'll find these are very matte. This is a very matte piece. Um,
I
let
guess it
me
would just be
find
if
one that's
maybe there
not.
was a coating added, right?
Yes,
Like if there was a
right.
coat, like a
And
like
the
a
thing that I didn't understand for the longest time was that celluloid started as a coating or parkasine, as I was just talking about. So these are celluloid, and these are kind of the most common, I think, that or at least here in the Midwest, I think I see these most commonly, the bangles. And I'll try to get a good view of these because one of these are very, very similar bangles, almost the same size, nearly the same color, very similar motifs. And one of them is a lot shinier. They're both shinier than this for sure.
yeah. Are you gonna
This
tell
is
us that those are
extremely
different
matte.
materials?
No,
Oh,
I
I
believe
was
these are
waiting for
both
you.
celluloid.
Okay.
But and you'll see on the inside, let me see if I can adjust my light a little bit. On the inside, we've got high gloss, high shine,
Yeah.
but on the outside, I think they're both fairly shiny, but this one is more so. But are we seeing the glisten on both of those?
Yeah. I can
Now,
see it.
one thing that is an issue with celluloid is it essentially kind of dries out. It's a combination of drying out and getting dusty and dirty. And I do think that's a factor with this brooch.
Huh.
I cleaned this brooch up quite a bit, and if you look at the back, we'll see a little bit of shine. So I think that there are multiple factors. Now, these, which are quite old celluloid pieces, these are light as air. This is another piece I wish you guys could feel. These are clearly never been worn celluloid. These are painted. And so that's struggling to get a good feel on these.
We have
That's why
another
these are matte.
question. Reagan Ribbon is asking, does celluloid have a smell like Bakelite? Like for an example, Bakelite has a
Celluloid will smell of camphor. However, the things that you do to get celluloid to smell like camphor often damages celluloid.
So
And
you're talking about
so
with heat.
uh, some people do a hot pin test, which is mostly when they're trying to when they're trying to find bakelite. They're hoping to have
Yeah.
bakelite, and they will heat let's look. We've got a piece right here. I don't know if someone has used this for a hot pin test or someone heated it to try to straighten it or doing
Yeah.
some other weirdness that I can only imagine. But essentially, they would heat a pin, and if they had something and they're like, "Gosh, I don't know if this is celluloid or bakelite," they could use or lucite. You could use the pin because a thermoplastic, which is what celluloid is, can be pierced by and kind of melted essentially, whereas a bakelite shouldn't melt or
Yeah.
be easily poked or pierced. And I guess the reasoning is that the pin won't cause that much damage. Here's the deal. Celluloid is extremely highly flammable. Like you guys know this scene in the movies. You'll see it in lots of vintage cartoons and movies where the film is showing and then it like basically melts on the screen
Yeah.
and like it just kind of bubbles, not bubbles, but like disintegrates. The film does. That's
Yeah.
because film, the first movie and well, any kind of photographic films were made of celluloid. Same stuff, sliced very,
Huh.
very, very thin. And when the projector lights would burn for a long time, sometimes they would
Yeah.
overheat and the
Huh.
film would not spontaneously, but it would
It
reach,
would
I
just
don't remember what the temperature is. There's a certain temperature, and if the projector light went above that temperature, the film would just melt,
disintegrate.
which is that image I think we're
Wow.
all familiar with. This stuff
Yeah.
does too.
Yeah.
And so
Wow.
I I don't go for trying to get a camphor feel off or smell off of it. I think it's too risky. If I do find something that I can get that smell from, um, then I'm like, oh yeah, that's celluloid. But
Gotcha.
for me personally, that's really not kind of what I
So is that all we
advise trying
know
to
of
do.
in the jewelry world is celluloid, um, uh, lucite, and bakelite? Are there forms of early plastics outside of those three?
Well, Bakelite is a phenolic resin, and so Bakelite's a brand name, much like celluloid. So Hyatt, the one I started to talk about, who was wanting to make the billiard balls with an
Mhm.
alternative to ivory because of overhunting, ivory was getting difficult to find. Um, he and his brother, Hyatt and his brother, who were American, actually were the ones who added camphor and introduced its use as a plasticizer. So they used it in a slightly different way than oh, what's his name? Parks, the Parkesian guy had done. The Parkesian guy, and so they named it celluloid in 1872. And so celluloid was at one time a brand name, much like Bakelite. And so Bakelite is a phenolic resin, and the difference. So I think what's maybe most relevant is the difference between thermoplastics, which can be kind of heated and reformed, which is why you could penetrate this with a pen or you could heat it up and it would soften, but the problem is it's so highly flammable that you'd be likely to get it on fire rather than
Yeah,
melting. Whereas for Bakelite and Lucite, but
good point.
Bakelite in particular, it's thermoset. And so that a thermoset plastic is not like moldable, or like you can't, once it is set, once the setting agent has happened, it cannot be like reformed
Yeah,
or
like
molded.
Meta Jennifer just said it's probably why it's easily to be carved. Why it could be carved easily, the
Hmm.
celluloid.
Right. So
Yeah,
these
makes sense.
these are these are pressed into molds,
Beautiful. That's so
whereas
good.
Bakelite is carved, often using machinery, sometime by hand.
Gotcha.
And so
Mm.
celluloid, what I don't have that I wish I had to show you guys in terms of celluloid are good examples, because I can't keep my hands on them, of extruded celluloid, which is, I don't know if any of you remember, it looks kind of like spaghetti or noodles that has been, it's kind of like two long tubes or strings. Extruded, my sister used to have a Play-Doh kit where you like pushed the Play-Doh through. They were on these long ruler shaped things, and there were different shapes, and you, did anyone else
Yes.
have that, or am I just crazy?
Yes.
You
No,
pushed the
no, I
Play-Doh
did.
through, and it made stuff that looked like spaghetti, or like
Yes.
an octagon shaped tube. So like that's kind of like, roughly speaking, that's like extrusion. That's extruding the plastic. So extruded
Gotcha.
celluloid pieces are really cool looking. And so Hyatt and his brother eventually patented the process for injection molding. Later, the extruding, I think, came after that. Um, like I mentioned, the movie and photography film industries use celluloid film stock, and the acetate safety film, due to lots of horrific theater fires and other safety issues, I think came around in the 50s.
Mm.
Um, so again, characteristics of celluloid: lightweight, brittle,
Yeah.
it'll warp when it's exposed to temperature fluctuations.
It's so neat. It's so neat.
And again, like I said, it's used to imitate often organic materials. And so I checked in with Tuesday and with Bobby Dazzle to see how they felt about um, me talking about what can be a very sensitive subject, and that
Mhm.
is ivory. And so the
Mhm.
pool balls, I don't have any here, and I have not, although I've never really sought them out, to my knowledge, had any celluloid pool balls, but I've not looked for them. I've had a lot of Bakelite pool balls.
Yeah.
Um, so the those pool balls were made when Hyatt made those. They were made of a combination of ivory powder, so ground ivory, and I'm guessing that may have been so they could still claim that they were partially ivory. Maybe it had something to do with color. I'm not really sure at all. I've not researched that. But there was some ivory remaining in the pool balls. Sometimes like clothing or cloth, and then other materials to make the center. And then the celluloid was used as the coating to make the pool ball click click. And I don't have any pool
Yeah.
balls in stock, but we all know the classic pool ball
Yeah.
sound. The one that
Yeah.
we're probably all most familiar with is from Bakelite. A lot of Bakelite pool balls, probably.
Yeah. Fun fact, I used to play pool a lot,
Really?
actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
My husband
So
and I loved playing pool.
next
And then we
time
had
you
our daughter
go,
and we quit.
next time you go to the pool hall, you can take your Clorox wipe and wipe down a pool ball, and then let it dry, and then rub it real hard with your finger and sniff it.
There you go.
Yeah. My friend, my
I'll be
whatnot
like, Tuesday,
friend,
what are you doing? And I'm sniffing the ball.
sniffing balls. Yeah, that's what my friend Mary, who's Grimary, Grimary on whatnot. Um, yeah, she said that I'm responsible for her when she goes to play darts. She was sniffing balls.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
there may be some sanitary issues with that, but yeah, a lot of Bakelite pool balls still out in the world. So
So cool.
I wanted to show a few pieces
Yes, please.
of ivory. And again, I want to make it clear, like, I don't personally sell ivory, but it exists,
Yeah.
and it was an important driver with, without deciding. I'll leave this to to all of you as individuals to judge or choose not to. It's up to you. The reasoning behind why people at the time historically were looking for alternatives to ivory, but this is what it looked like. And so we can see how this inspired some of the cellulite bangles that I'll show next.
Hmm.
Let me, I've got everything. I'm just making a huge mess here. And
I
you're
think
all
it's
here for
important to
it.
know the history, the history of
Yeah.
the, yeah.
So this is not cellulite. This is a lucite, Sarah Coventry. But we'll open up, and if we have time, I was going to talk about some other plastics anyway. We're running out, but so here's a lucite, but you can see how the carving that would be kind of typical to an ivory piece.
Yeah.
This is ivory, and this is a plastic Sarah Coventry lucite bangle. This is a very common motif that was seen on ivory bangles. This is acrylic. It's got a seam, super inexpensive and lightweight. And again, on camera, really,
Right.
that's pretty close.
Yeah.
You can see, again, another hint here is just the size difference in the wrist.
Now, is ivory heavy?
It is
I
not
guess I
super
wrote,
heavy. It's
yeah.
heavier than this. It'd be a little heavier than a comparable celluloid. Not a lot.
Sometimes don't you
It's
wish
gonna
you could buy
be.
a kit and have like one of everything in a kit so that you could, touch, feel,
Mhm.
yeah, it would be,
Ivory, and this could be a whole other show for sure. But
yeah, I bet it
the
could.
big thing with that is gonna be the cross hatching. This bracelet demonstrates it really well. If I could find my. This is not the best. This is celluloid. I didn't even think about getting it out. Not the lens, but this
Yeah,
part.
yeah. So
Um,
Fancy Mimi said, is ivory cold?
um, no, I would say cool, in my opinion. I don't know if we can get
Yeah.
the cross hatching on the inside with the.
Yeah, it might be hard. Huh?
Yep.
That's okay.
And I will show really quickly another well, here we go. Here's a non ivory, but here's coral. And this is probably an acrylic, or yeah, probably just an acrylic. And if you guys
Okay.
are here with me, this feels very lightweight, fun, cheap, vintage plastic.
Yeah.
And then this is real coral.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think real coral is cold. Well,
No, not
maybe
necessarily.
not.
I mean, I hope.
I don't have any coral.
I personally hope, but sadly, I
Well,
don't know that we can assume that.
so Bobby Dazzle says, can we sell bone and horn on whatnot? And I know the answer to that, and that is no.
Yeah,
I don't.
I don't believe so. It
At
sounds
least
like
the last time that I looked, we could not sell bovine or bone.
Yeah,
Um,
I've
but then I
heard
heard we could,
people
but that
argue
changed.
about this, and yeah, and I have not honestly looked into it because it's something I don't do, and so I've not really worried about it.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Um,
would be a great,
speaking,
something to look into.
hmm
But the last time that I looked, no, we are not allowed to sell bone, um, on
so
whatnot.
this is bone, and I've got another. This is plastics. I'd say probably not quite as old, but old enough to probably be called vintage. I don't know. It's unsigned necklace that I think is meant to evoke bone,
Now,
maybe stone on this one.
I had heard that if you used simichrome paste on a piece of bone, that
Yes, ma'am.
it would come off black. Do
I
you
don't
know if
know
that's
about
true?
I don't know about that. I will tell you, I learned a long, long time ago that if you
Mhm.
use semichrome paste on a piece of ivory, and I would assume the same for bone, that it smells like burning hair, which makes sense. Or
Oh,
burning fingernails, like you singed your hair with the curling iron kind of thing,
makes sense.
because yeah, it's an
Yeah,
organic material.
yeah. So Carolina's Cabin is asking, what are the red or orange pieces in Mexican jewelry? Well, those could be coral.
They
I
could
guess
be
it.
coral. We see coral some in southwestern jewelry, and I'm guessing probably in Mexican, other stones as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure off the top of my head.
I remember one time I had gotten a pendant, I think, and I thought that maybe the pendant was ivory or bone,
Hmm.
and sadly the like the cabochon, if you will, was slightly loose on it. And of course I went to just, to wipe it, with a
Hmm.
just basically water, but basically trying to dust the piece. And underneath of that cabochon was sawdust.
Mm. Yeah,
So
so it
when
like
they had
disintegrated.
yeah, well, so I guess what I learned then, of course, I looked into it, and what I learned is that your metal base and your cabochon or your dyed shell or whatever that they would use back in the day to set down on that to fill in the space between the metal and the
Hmm.
actual
Yeah, it was like a
shell, or
composite.
was a composite of like
Yeah.
sawdust.
Hmm.
It was so interesting. Sorry, I didn't mean
So
to go off on that, but
no, that's actually, I had this set aside, and I'm like, well, this isn't really a button show. This is a button that I suspect is celluloid. I don't know for sure, and I'm not getting it out of this pouch because,
yeah, I
like
can.
many other things, vintage plastic dust is not something you should mess with. Whether it's
Mm,
bakelite, celluloid, you should not be inhaling it. Um, but this was a cameo button, so here is the verdigris cameo head. And I just tried to wipe this off with a dry cloth, and it completely disintegrated on me.
wow.
And again,
Aw.
my other possibility on this that I'm not going to explore is that this could be a casein plastic, a milk plastic, which is like, um, some of these are what you'll hear called Galalith or French Bakelite. And let me tell you, I had a piece of that once that I got wet inadvertently, and it smells like curdled milk. But
Ooh.
this to me, I think looks like, probably celluloid. But getting to the bottom of some of these pieces, like, this is what it would take. Like, I feel like I need to cut apart 50 pieces of beautiful jewelry, which I'm
Yeah.
obviously not going to do. But that would help me get to the bottom of some of it. And
Yeah.
I wanted to show here, this is ivory, carved ivory. We can see even a carved
Oh, wow.
clasp. And while this and this is just like a mid-century, you've still got the price tag string on it. Just a mid-century. I'm not sure it's even. It's probably lucite. It's dirty. Lucite, maybe acrylic, probably lucite. But the design of a lot of these are very much inspired, even if the
Yeah.
color isn't spot on. Very much inspired by the ivory carving shapes, and I think even we've got a smaller version here. This is coral. I think this may be angel skin coral.
Oh, so pretty.
But we'll
I
see this
love
in a
it.
lot of the plastic shapes that we get. So this is not ivory. This is a plastic bangle, again made to resemble ivory. I don't know for sure. It feels like inexpensive acrylic to me. It's had that band set into it, and then it's been placed in
Yeah.
brass.
Love it. It's pretty.
This is a very new fake reproduction. Not a fake. Shouldn't say fake. A reproduction. Notice that carnival glass glow on it,
Yeah.
which is not right at all, but a fun modern piece
Absolutely. Looks
in the
like
style
tangerine
of
color.
this.
Yeah. So pretty.
And a lot of modern jewelry. This is one that tricked me. I picked this up. I would have bought it and I would have sold this as vintage 100%. I'm not afraid to admit it when I am
Well,
incorrect
it's got
about
a
something.
vintage look. It does.
Completely. And
Yeah.
particularly to me, this light yellow looks to me like aged white. Even with my experience, the feel of it, the style of these look very
Yeah.
much. This is by Coldwater Creek.
Ah!
This is for my personal collection. I keep this and wear
So maybe
this.
a few years vintage. A few, maybe.
It could be vintage technically. I literally thought it was a much, much older piece. And then we'll see. This is like a Charming Charlie's. I just pulled a few of these to try to show. We've got this gorgeous, like, laminated bead.
It's
It
pretty.
looks like a Carlos Sobral lucite or something. Like, if I had just found
Yeah.
a set of these beads laying around, I would have been like, oh my gosh. This is on a Charming Charlie's necklace. So that's what this is part of what's exciting to me is that you don't have to
Mhm.
be rich. You can
Mhm.
find this stuff in modern jewelry.
Mhm.
You can find this at the thrift store. You can find it at garage sales.
Mhm.
And I think that's really exciting and fun. This is
Yeah.
a J. Crew, and I don't think this is vintage J. Crew yet. I'd say this is like within the last decade. J. Crew,
Yeah. Yeah.
very, very retro design. I think this is more Coldwater Creek. J. Crew is a usual suspect. Again,
Yeah.
this one might have tricked me.
Yeah.
Probably not the antiqued gold would have clued me in, but the
Yeah.
beads and the wooden beads.
Very cool though. Very neat.
Yep. Did anyone see anything that I haven't get a glimpse of anything that I haven't shown yet? Or
Like, look at those right there, you
yeah.
guys. Look
We
right
we
there.
haven't really
Uh,
talked about lucite. I know that celluloid was the star of the day.
yeah, look at
Um
that sparrow, bird in flight.
yeah, I was trying to
Ah,
remember. I was thinking maybe you had bought my parrot lucite, but it may have been somebody else. I had a reverse carved lucite parrot in this style at one time.
I probably bid on it. Those pieces right there, you guys, are phenomenal. That
I
carved wood
love
along with the
the
lucite.
bird.
Yeah, it's delicious.
And so again, the lucite is dyed to achieve this color. The eye is great on this horse, no yellowing whatsoever. And then that reverse carving as well as the other carving on the front really gives it a three-dimensional effect. So I've had parrots in this. This is my first horse head. I've had a few birds.
So a real quick little story.
Yes.
When I first started, basically hunting vintage jewelry, so at the beginning of my little adventure, I had found a carved deer, which I thought was wood brooch at the thrift. I think I paid like, you know, we'll say less than $5 for it. And here it was Martha Sleeper.
I
Sleepers,
knew
is
you were
that the
going to
right
say that.
last name? Martha Sleeper, um, Bakelite. That was actually, that brooch is what caused me to buy my first tube of Simichrome paste, and I tested it, and then I don't remember. I think I Google lensed it. Well, you couldn't. I don't think Google Lens was even a thing back then. But I just searched it, on eBay, and I found a similar sold, and I want to say it was around the $500 range that
Yeah,
I ended up
sounds
selling
right.
it for. Oh
I knew you
my
were going to say it was a
gosh.
Martha Sleeper.
Yeah. Them
I
carved
have
pieces, they're just, oh,
I have one that has I think it's a Martha Sleeper. It's not one of the super cutesy deer, but it has the leather ears.
oh, so good.
But
So does
yes, her
anybody have
pieces are very desirable.
questions about any of the plastastic pieces? I know we've gone over our time. I've been having so much fun chatting with you, Vintage Gasconade. Oh my gosh. I feel like I could sit here and chat with you all night and look at your stuff. Oh my gosh. Or is there any highlight, any like uh what am I trying to say? Um oh, I forget. I don't know what word I'm searching for, but is there any last thoughts that you have, Summer, to chat with us about?
Well, I will add that since I showed these really quickly,
Yeah.
that Avon Color Go Round line was
Okay.
produced in both Bakelite and Lucite. This is the
What?
loose. This is the Lucite. And I was just digging for examples of the Bakelite. Um, I can go grab them from my jewelry box, but
So you're
don't
saying that
assume.
Avon had a Bakelite line?
Yeah, let me grab my rings. Just a second. It will only take me a
No
sec.
way. Did you guys hear what she just said? No way. I had no idea. I mean, I learned that Avon had silver tone and actually has sterling silver jewelry, that there were designers that made sterling silver jewelry for Avon to sell. I didn't know they had a Bakelite line. That's so neat. I appreciate you guys all hanging out. If you're just coming in, we have a guest speaker tonight, Vintage Gasconade, and she's talking about early plastics and celluloid with us. We're so happy that you're here hanging out.
All right. I'm going to get this set
Okay,
up.
please do.
So, the dramatic reveal. So, I have and have sold sets of both the Bakelite and the acrylic. I know they come in quote unquote small and medium. I don't know if they made large as well. It would make sense to me. These are the small, which I think are like maybe 5.5
Yeah,
lucite. And again, any of these plastic pieces can be placed inside the band. So you can swap them out, wear one at a time, wear it in the band, wear it without. Lucite on the
love.
left, Bakelite on the right.
No way. I did not know that. That is phenomenal.
And the boxes looked the same. So this is a 1977. If we assume
Yeah.
that these are in the correct box.
Okay.
But the Color Go Round line also had bangles, which I can barely keep in stock, but if you have, I know you, I guarantee you have sold Avon Color Go Round bangles.
Yeah.
Super basic. This is one, I'm pretty sure. And so like this is the equivalent of, this is the same color.
Yeah.
And so the bangles were in, like a box this shape with the same iconography.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
bangles also come in Bakelite, earlier ones, Lucite, later
No
ones.
way. I did
I
not know that. See, we
I,
all
I
learn something
grab
new
them.
every day.
Yeah, I grab them when I see them, bangles or rings,
Absolutely.
anytime. And I personally wear my Bakelite set quite a bit, not all of it at once, but quite a bit. I wear my
Yeah.
Bakelite rings. They're very wearable. And I think these are
You
lovely.
make me
I
want to go hunt. You're
I
good,
like
Bobby, honey.
I like these muted colors. Like this blue
Yeah.
is gorgeous. And these have swirl. They're not probably showing exceptionally well. But these have
That
the
is
marbled
phenomenal.
swirl.
Bobby, were you here when she said that about Avon having a Bakelite line? I don't know if she's. Hi, Lavender Hair. Welcome back, friend.
And again, I think
Amazing.
just like with a lot of companies, it was just a
Yeah.
material that they used at
Yeah.
different times. They weren't like,
Wow.
ooh, let's get on the Bakelite train. You know, they were like, hey, this is a great plastic. Let's make some stuff
Yeah.
out of it.
Yeah. Oh, phenomenal. I love it. I'm so happy. See, we all learn something new every single day. I love it. You guys, please take a second and give Vintage Gas Kinade a follow, a bookmark. I have shopped with her before. Obviously, she's showing us that she's got some knowledge in her vintage plastics that she's showing along with other jewelry that she sells, I'm sure. But be confident in buying from her. I have bought from her, and I'm so happy that I did. And I love it. I love learning new things. So thank you so much, Vintage Gas Kinade, for hanging out with us tonight. We
Thank
appreciate
you for
you.
having me. I
I love
appreciate it very
it.
much.
And maybe who knows, maybe we'll, be able to co-host again in the future sometime.
Yes, that would be great. And thanks again to
Yes.
you and to Bobby Dazzle for doing informational shows like this. Like I said
Yeah.
earlier at the top of the hour, I'll repeat myself. This is one of the things I really particularly love about the Whatnot community,
Mhm,
and this platform. I think it's a real strength of it, and
mhm.
I appreciate that you guys are giving back by doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel like we can all just grow together. We can all grow together, whether with it be knowledge or follows, bookmarks, network. That's what Whatnot, in my opinion, is a lot about, is networking. And I'm just so happy that our paths have crossed. Yay. Does anyone else have any questions before we let our guests go? And if, of course, if you have any other additional comments, Summer, you just let me know. But I greatly appreciate you so, so much.
All right, thank
Um,
you. Everyone have a
yes,
good
thank
night.
you. You do the same, friend. Thank you, thank you. And then we're gonna go ahead and you guys make sure you bookmark next Monday nights. Vintage jewelry talk with Miss Bobby Dazzle. She's the one that's going to be hosting that one. We're gonna get into a little bit of shipping, and our guest speaker for that night is going to be Miss Belinga Ding Ding. I know I love learning new things, right, guys? But we're gonna go right into now Thrift with Lisa B. They have a similar chat going on right now, I'm sure. In the vintage decor category is basically what they are doing. They have buyers and sellers. It's a chat going on just like we are. Ways for us to learn as a buyer and a seller. So that's where we're gonna head out now. I appreciate all of you hanging out with us. And we will see you next Monday night at 7 p.m. Have a great night. Have a great rest of your week. And I will see you next Thursday. Next Thursday night is the May Day Raid Train. Vintage Gas Canade, thank you. She has a show tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central and a raid train on Saturday at 9 a.m. So you guys will be able to check out some of her stuff, I'm sure, during those shows. So give a bookmark and a follow for sure. Help me thank her by giving her a bookmark and a follow. And good night, Fancy Mimi. All right, let's go raid out. And here we go. Let's see, raid. Let's go see Thrift with Lisa B. She likes teddy bears. If you guys want to put teddy bears in the chat when we go in to see her, or just hearts, whichever. Just show her some love. Oh, and they're not coming up. Okay, let me try again. Thrift. There she is. Okay, I was spelling thrift wrong, I'm sure. Good night, everybody. Here we go.